Oloid is an identity platform targeted towards deskless workers, and it is enabling business workflows such as time clocking. When a worker comes in, how their timestamp is recorded in the time and attendance system using a facial identity. Also, secure access control. So, in a workplace, when a worker is going about accessing secure areas through turnstiles and doors, how can those be activated? Again, using the same unifying facial identity. And now we've recently added attributes for temperature scanning, where now we are able to also identify if this worker presents any kind of contagion risk and may be required to do additional medical screening for this individual. But in terms of prioritizing our sequence of markets, we have prioritized deskless workers first because one, it's an underserved segment. Identity solutions for deskless workers do not exist. Centralized identity is missing in the market. And secondly, we were able to tie in many of these use cases directly to ROI. So whereas for a desk worker, it's more of a convenience, removing friction type of a use case. For a large manufacturer, we had ROI models where we could be saving just $20 million in payroll inaccuracies through better time and attendance measurement, right? So we wanted to build an application, build software, which has a very strong payback period. And we were able to do that with deskless workers. Now, mind you, this whole story leads up only until February this year, when COVID-19 pandemic hit the entire world of business. That conversation certainly turned into where our customers were saying, how do I create safety at my workplace? Articles where employers in Asia and eastern parts of the world had instituted some methods for temperature scanning the employees as they enter the premises, because there could be a risk of spreading and outbreaks at the workplace, which no employer would want. You would want there to be safety. So we quickly created attributes around the identity, which would be around every day when the worker is coming in and they are going through their clocking process or access control process, we would provide an additional scanning of their temperature. And again, a little double click on our product. Our product, while it's an identity product, we integrate with a variety of off-the-shelf hardware. We integrate with IP cameras for facial identity. We integrate with IoTs for identity. We were able to quickly pivot and add thermal cameras to a list of integrations. So today we are very proud to be of service. It's a time where the world is confronted with serious challenges. And I think our whole team is excited about being part of the solution here. We are very excited about working with more and more businesses, enabling a back to work safety at work program. And thermal scanning is just the beginning. We have already forged partnerships where we don't have to solve this whole solution. We have partners who are bringing contact tracing and social distancing IoT solutions to the market. We are just providing identity to those partners and scaling up the solution. All in all, we believe that in the foreseeable future, we will be able to help customers create a whole framework on creating a contagion safe COVID-19 healthy environment with virus contagion safe applications on our platform, and be relevant to the current time, solve the most pressing needs for our customers. So overall, we're looking at about 700 million workers globally in the target industries we're going after. Within US, it's more close to about 80 million deskless workers, right? Within that, if you sub-segment, we are addressing high-value industries ahead of the others. So where the worker is providing some either specialized skill or specialized production activity or construction activity, because there the risk to resources and assets is higher, right? So we narrowed down to about 15 million workers in United States as our initial target market. And now we're looking to expand globally, right? Within this market, we looked at comparables of identity companies in the desk space, like Okta, which is a public company, close to 700 million in revenue, about 20 million users. So we use some of this economics to build our thesis on how would the market look like over a period of time. So we certainly look at this as even at 5-10% of penetration of market, this is a $1 billion plus revenue opportunity. In order to get there, we have identified key use cases. And for the use cases, we have brought a subscription model, which is a per worker per month per year type of a model. Our typical target customer is 1,000+ workers because they value a sophisticated identity management. They get more benefit out of it. So our typical account size is going to be a 6-figure account as a land, going up to 7-figure once we penetrate that account completely. We're already working with 2 very large organizations. One is a Fortune 500 company in manufacturing space. The other is one of the largest construction companies in North America, both of them 7-figure accounts. And we are looking to have close to 10 customers over the next year, which will bring us in a very healthy range for a strong Series A raise. So we're looking to raise a sizable Series A, which above benchmark, couple of $1 million type of ARR by next year. This is my second venture. And in the first venture, raised about $80 million, built a fairly expensive sales engine, right? So company's done phenomenally well, but we also invested a lot and the unit economics improved over a period of time, right? In this venture, we have had very healthy unit economics right from the beginning. Obviously, it's at a small base right now. We are looking at building a model which allows us as a scenario of profitability as early as next year. And the context is we are looking at a very uncertain environment from an economic standpoint. So in our conservative use scenario case, we can be profitable next year. I'm confident that the whole team agrees with this vision that for us, it'll be providing the intersection of an end user focused product, which upholds the privacy and the ethical standards from identity management standpoint with business value. And to put it in simple words, if we were able to gain the trust of our end users, where they were willingly committing and managing their identity into our platform, not just for one employer, but across employers. That for us would be proof that they have developed trust in the product. This will create huge network effects. So we want to be a single sign-on for the deskless worker, but not across one employer, but across the history of the employment of a worker. So the story of Oloid, it's rooted in my varied experiences over the years, primarily since the last 20 years I've spent in the Silicon Valley. I came here to study at Stanford and was a deeply technical person, right out of engineering school, master's in electrical engineering. And that's when I grew the passion for building products and building startups. And over the years, I have been searching for purpose with the products that I'm building. So just to give you some background, my previous startup, which is a fairly successful company, raised about $80 million. I ran revenue for that company for about 8 years. We were building a product for sales enablement, sales training. So while that was widely successful, I was looking for purpose in my next venture. I was looking for how do I make this relevant and impact lives? And I'm an enterprise product builder. So I could look at ideas and spaces within enterprise, right? I can't claim to know consumer because that's not the products I've built. And within enterprise, I realized that there's so much technology being built for knowledge workers. There is this beautiful thing called single sign-on, username and passwords, which we as knowledge workers enjoy. But as I was looking around in terms of the technology that exists for deskless workers, there was a strong theme that was emerging. Even in venture trends, I could see that deskless workers was a very strong theme that was emerging. And that's when I happened to meet, destiny brings co-founders together. So that's when I met my co-founder, Madhu, who came from a very strong identity management and AI background. He had built voice-based identity. He has patents in Bluetooth-based identity protocols. And when my excitement about deskless worker market met with this technology prowess, we started to think about how would we build an identity solution for the deskless worker. So that was an idea which germinated over a discussion and got into deep market research and analysis. We investigated the various solutions that were out there. And we found that there were two things which were a deep pain point. One was from the end user perspective. The workers, they have to use a variety of different interactions, whether it's using fingerprint in one device, badge in another device. There was no centralized unifying identity. So there was no unifying experience that a desk worker or knowledge worker enjoys. Secondly, from an organizational standpoint, we found that because there's no unifying identity, an organization is not able to manage the workflows in a cohesive manner. So just to give you an example, a CISO, which is a new role, by the way, a Chief Information Security Officer. When we interviewed a lot of CISOs, we found that most of them are managing their knowledge worker, desk workers really well, but they do not have identity management framework for deskless workers. With this broad thesis, we started exploring how would we go about solving this problem with a wedge approach. So, when we look at B2B products, it's really important to have the initial use case identified, which can help penetrate the market fast, and they are not too complex to implement. They're not too complex to deploy. So through our market research, when we spoke to, when we looked at different segments in the market, we found that the high value segment where the industries themselves, they were not building commodity products, they were building specialized products. They valued identity more than the ones which wouldn't have risk from identity. So if you had like an identity issue, then they were okay with that. So this is the journey over the last 2 years. We started focusing on high value manufacturing, healthcare, pharmaceutical manufacturing as areas where we bring about a single sign-on identity for the deskless worker.